Hi, this is Ike from Groovy Entertainment. Today we got another book to read for you. Today, book is Curious George Goes to the Zoo from 2011. So let's get started. This is George, and George is a good little monkey and always very curious. Today, George was feeling very excited. The man with the yellow hat was taking him to the zoo. As they drove, the man explained to George this wasn't just any zoo that they would go to visit. It's called the Wild Animal Park, the man said. All the animals roam around freely. When they arrived, George saw a huge banner. George looked up at it, but he could not read the words. A friendly zookeeper explained, "It's an extra special day here at the Wild Animal Park," she said. "It is our baby rhino's first birthday. We are going to have a party for her later on." A party? This was going to be a wonderful trip to the zoo. George tried to walk into the park where the animals were, but the zookeeper stopped him. "You can't walk in there," she said. "To explore the zoo, you have rides in one of our special cars." She pointed to a huge car that had no roof on it. Oh my, what fun this was going to be. George and his friend climbed on board, and the car drove into the park. Soon they was in the middle of the Wild Animal Park. "Look over there," said the zookeeper. "There's our pride of lions. We have a large family here." George pointed in the other direction. "Yes, George," said the zookeeper. "I see the giraffes too. Their tall necks help them eat leaves from the treetops. And there are two ostriches running this way." George was happy to be seeing so many amazing animals. The zoo car drove past a small pond. Pink flamingos waddling in the water, their heads bobbing up and down as they walked on spindly legs. "The flamingo turned pink because they eat so many tiny pink shrimps," said the zookeeper, but George was not listening. He had never seen flamingos before. He was curious about how those flamingos were moving. He leaned out of the back of the zoo car as far as he could to take a look, but then, oh, what happened? First, George lost his balance. Then he fell, kaplunk, right out of the zoo car. His friend hadn't noticed that he had fallen. George ran as quickly as a little monkey could toward the pond. The flamingo bobbed their heads and lifted their feet one at a time. It looked like they were dancing. George danced with them. Suddenly, the water in the pond started to move. Then a big hippo popped its head out from under the water. What a surprise! George stopped dancing to take a look. The hippo opened its huge mouth, as if it was yawning. George opened his mouth wide too. It was fun to act like a hippo. Just then, George noticed that something was rustling in the uh, near the pond. George was curious. He wanted to see what was there. In an instant, he jumped over to the reed. He poked his nose inside and saw a baby rhino. The tiny rhino was cute, but she looked a little bit sad and a little bit lonely. George wanted to make the baby rhino feel happy again. He fought and fought. Maybe the baby rhino would like the pink flamingo dance. He jumped and bobbed his head and danced his feet up and down. The baby rhino peeked her head out of the reed, so that she could watch George dance more. And the rhino walked out of the reed. She was curious too. They were having so much fun that George didn't notice what was behind them. The zookeeper stomped over to George. She did not look happy. The man with the yellow hat was running behind her. "You are a naughty little monkey," said the zookeeper. "You were supposed to stay in the car. You and your friend will have to go now." George walked to the man's side. He waved goodbye to the baby rhino. The man and the zookeeper turned to see whom George was waving to. "The baby rhino, why, we have been looking for her all day," said the zookeeper. "She got separated from her mother." George was glad to see the zookeeper looking happy again. He and the man started walking toward the exit. The zookeeper ran to stop them. "Thank you for finding our baby rhino, George, and just in time for her birthday party. Will you join us for some cake?" George jumped with glee. He had forgotten about the party, and he did love cake. The man and George followed the zookeeper and the baby rhino back to zoo headquarters. The rhino mother was waiting there for her. The zookeeper brought out a special birthday cake that was shaped like a rhino. George had never seen a cake like that before. "You can have the first piece, George," said the zookeeper. "I also have a special treat just for you." She placed a bunch of bananas in front of him. George was very happy to have a tasty banana, but he saved room for some cake too. So that was Curious George Go to the Zoo from 2011. So if you like, subscribe, share, and comment, have a groovy day. Another video comes out real soon.